Hey everybody, welcome to That's Weird Stuff, the show where we share stories of the strange and bizarre. And last time we talked about a supermarket that became like a toxic event, but what this time we're going to talk about a person that became a toxic event. So, on the night of February 19th, 1994, Gloria Ramirez of Riverside, California was admitted to the emergency room with severe heart palpitations after a day of nausea and vomiting. Although suffering from cervical cancer, a respiratory therapist noticed that the symptoms the 31-year-old was exhibiting were mostly seen in older patients. After Ramirez failed to respond to attempts to sedate her and treat her abnormal heart rate, the medical team started defibrillation. This is when the nurses began to notice an oily sheen on the patient's skin and a fruity garlic odor coming from her mouth. When blood
Diabetic?
Olive Garden.
when blood was taken from her arm, the tube smelled of ammonia, and there were mustard-colored crystals floating in her blood. This was when the first nurse began to feel a burning sensation in her face and fainted after leaving the room. A second nurse started to feel nauseous and feeling lightheaded left the room to sit at the nurse's station where she too fainted. A third nurse fainted after again smelling the ammonia from Ramirez's blood. And when she woke, she was unable to control her limbs. Finally, everyone was evacuated from the emergency room except for a small emergency team who continued to work on Gloria until sadly she passed away from kidney failure. During the 30 minutes the medical team had worked on Gloria, 23 people had become ill, with five of them being hospitalized themselves. One
They're already in
remaining,
the hospital.
I know, can you be double a minute? Um, one remaining in intensive care for 2 weeks. Curiously, most of the affected were women. The event led to one of the largest medical investigations in history, with the initial finding concluding that the hospital staff had suffered from a mass hysteria event. Of course, many of the staff were skeptical, and the person who was held in the intensive care unit went on to develop hepatitis and avascular necrosis, suggesting it was more than just a case of hysteria. Well, the family blamed the hospital. Another theory suggests that the dimethyl sulfate was released in the air when the dimethyl sulfur oxide Gloria had been self-administrating mixed with the oxygen from the oxygen mask she was wearing when taken to the hospital.
Pressurized salt acid.
So some of the most convoluted story to figure out what happened. What do you guys think happened in this one?
I've
So,
heard this
The awakened
before.
Emotep.
you've heard this event
Yeah, I
before?
wanted to talk about this one. This one's crazy. Um, I don't know what went down though. Like she was just oozing like everything bad, and everyone was like, "Oh,
Ammonia. That's
must be pretty bad if nurses are fainting."
yeah, yeah. That's why no one believed the hysteria thing because nurses usually have seen everything and smelled everything. Nothing kind of bothers them, but then they
I've seen
start
everything,
thinking.
guys. Don't worry about it.
I thought a couple doctors fainted too, or got
But
pretty ill.
I don't know if the doctors did because, like I said, none of the men seem to be affected by it. I don't know why.
That's weird too. Why it was only women, or
Yeah.
Why, assuming there's only male doctors, Joseph?
but
Maybe
I don't. I
there's
have no idea. I just always liked the story and thought it was crazy. I'm gonna say, yeah, what I said about the pressurized salt. It's Emotep. That was one of the plagues.
some curse.
Someone read from that book of the living
The
dead.
dead. The gold is the book of the living.
Hmm.
They read from the
That's
black book.
lame. They need to change it up. That way you can trick people into reading the
Exactly.
bad one.
I I don't know. This sounds like almost like this woman was like a bioweapon almost. It's kind of
Umbrella.
yeah, it's kind of exactly, yeah. It sounds like Resident Evil, like, oh no. Like someone's like cutting into her and like the knife melts and the doctor starts melting.
Yeah.
Also, the yellow crystals in the blood. That's weird.
In that
Something
protein?
strange was going on.
Don't know. That's crazy though.
A
It's kind
crazy
of
story.
it's a good start to like a horror movie. Kind of wish somebody would write that movie. Oh well, we'll never know.
I'm sure there's a movie out there like that somewhere. Can't remember how Contagious started. Do you guys remember how that movie started?
The Matt
Gwyneth
Damon one?
Paltrow got sick on the plane, and
Yes.
then she spread it to the world.
I do
She
remember.
she ate a piece of fruit that a bat ate. There you go.
And then she
Oh
distilled it
no.
into goop and sold it
Those
on Amazon.
those freaking bats, man.
Charge $425 for a vial of it.
Do people buy it? We don't know. That's weird. That's
They do.
weirder.
That's how she's so rich now.
That's
So
weirder stuff than we can go into.
that is the
That
weird
we
stuff.
want to go into.
Yeah. A little too weird even for us. All right, tell us what you guys think. Mass hysteria? I don't think so. I think that's just like, no. That doesn't sound right.
Not if
I
people
don't
actually
really
got
I don't
sick.
I don't really buy mass hysteria all that much. I mean, I understand that people are like showing like symptoms of like sympathy symptoms, but to the part where like they're actually like dying, it's like, hmm,
We'll
this
talk
might
about a case someday about mass hysteria. That's pretty weird,
The
but
dancing one?
yeah. So we'll talk about that someday. All right. So let us know what you guys think, what your theories are, and join us next time for That's Weird Stuff. Like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff to come. And we'll see you next time.